We're going to go ahead and get started because I do have a lot to cover and I don't want to keep you guys here all night long. So let's do that. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kirsten Thompson and I blog at Sweet Tea and Saving Grace. I've been blogging for about 5 years, and I initially started as One Tough Mother. If any of you have ever heard of that blog, I did that for about 3.5 years before I took a 6-month break. And I came back with a different focus, a lot more balance in my life, and I figured out exactly what it was I wanted out of my blog and what I wanted my blog to give me. And I rebranded to Sweet Tea and Saving Grace, and things have been very smooth sailing ever since then. I started offering my services as a virtual assistant at that point, and I kind of slowly became the go-to person for MailChimp and newsletters and email marketing. And so here we are. I'm going to be sharing links throughout the evening, just a couple quick little things to share with you. I am going to be screen sharing a couple of links with you throughout the evening. There's this little thing called Showcase. So anytime I share a link, you'll hopefully see it pop up. I'm going to do the first one and ask you guys to follow me on Twitter. So you should see a link now in the sidebar to follow me on Twitter. And you can just click right on that link and follow me, and that would be awesome. If you don't see that link, let me know that too, because I do have some links that I'm going to be sharing, and it's kind of important that you see that. So the next little bit is there may be a little bit of a delay. So if you ask a question in the group, I'll probably see it, but I might be a little delayed answering it when we get to the Q&A part, just so you know. Sometimes these Hangouts have a little 30-second delay. It's a little weird. So if you haven't done so already, I'm also going to give you guys the link. I have a email list that is specifically for all things blogging. And that's where I'm going to be sharing updates for future webinars, any updates for the ebook that I have, any blogging resources that I come across, like Abby's book, Building a Framework, things like that that are just valuable for bloggers. I'll be sharing that, and it's just blog related. So anything that you want to see that's blog related, that's a good resource to have. Okay. Got a few more coming. Hey, Megan, you figured it out. Good. All right. All right, guys. So we are going to get started. Throughout the course of this webinar, if you have any questions, pop them into that Q&A box. I'm going to get to those at the very end, so please don't feel like I'm ignoring you. I'll get to as many as I can as time allows. And I'm also going to be doing a fun little giveaway. I'm going to be giving away 2 copies of my Inbox of Opportunity ebook, and then I have a big grand prize at the end. So make sure you're commenting and asking questions and everything, because that's where I'll be picking the names from just at random throughout the evening. So there's 3 giveaways total. You do have to be on the live broadcast to win. So good for you, for those of you who are here. That's awesome. So we're going to get started. As you know, Abby released her Building a Framework updated book, and she was very gracious to ask me to be one of the expert interviews on the master package, and it was awesome. And that's kind of how I came across all of you. I was part of the Building a Framework bloggers group on Facebook for a while, but once those expert interviews started coming out, you guys started asking a lot more questions about MailChimp and specifically RSS feeds. So I thought this webinar would be a good idea to just kind of fill in the gaps. RSS can be a little confusing if you're not familiar with it. So hopefully this will kind of fill in those blanks where you're having a little issues. We're going to focus on the steps to build a customized RSS-driven email, and we're going to import subscribers from FeedBurner. I wanted to clarify something really quick. Some people said, do I need a FeedBurner account to do this? And the answer is no. We're going to be taking all of your FeedBurner subscribers out and putting them in MailChimp. So if you've never used FeedBurner, you definitely don't need it. You can just skip that step. We're going to set up a list, and I'm going to show you how to create segments in your list so you can have a specific segment for RSS-driven newsletters. and we're going to create a branded RSS campaign. I'm going to give you an overview of the basic merge tags that you'll use in RSS campaigns, and then we'll do a Q&A session, and we'll pop in every now and then with those giveaways. So stick around for that. So I'm going to start screen sharing now, and we're going to start in FeedBurner. So like I said, this is a step-by-step. If you've never created an RSS-driven campaign and you have subscribers sitting in your FeedBurner account, I'm going to take you start to finish tonight. I'm going to show you everything that I do for myself and my clients to build an RSS campaign and make it fully branded and consistent, so that when your subscribers get it, they know exactly who it's from immediately, just because they can see the branding in there. It's not just a generic. I did want to touch on this really quick. We had a question just a few minutes before we started about what exactly RSS is. If you're not familiar, and that's totally okay. If you're not familiar, if you're a new blogger, RSS is a weird term. Basically, there are two kinds of emails that you can send to your subscribers. So you can either send a regular email newsletter, which is pretty much anything you want it to be. You can include links to your blog posts in there if you'd like. You can include a little personal note to your readers, whatever the case may be. RSS, it's sometimes called really simple syndication. And essentially what that means is it syncs with your blog post. So every time you post a new post, it automatically triggers your RSS feed to send an email to anyone who has subscribed to that RSS feed. So they'll get an email in their inbox that's either a truncated post or the full content of your post every time you share a new blog post. So FeedBurner, which is what most people have been using for a long time, it does that for you, but it's very bland, it's very generic, it's not very pretty at all, and you can't customize it. It's just, here's my blog post, that's it, there's nothing special about it. The great thing about MailChimp is you can create a perfectly customizable, very visually pleasing, fully branded RSS campaign. It does all the same stuff, but it's a lot prettier. Plus, you can add a lot of customization. So if you want an about section at the bottom, or if you want to add any giveaway updates or anything like that that you want to share extra, you can do that. So before you do any of that, you have to start in FeedBurner. So we're going to screen share now, and hopefully you guys won't have any issues seeing this. So I'm going to pop back over in just a second, check the Q&A box, make sure we're good. So we are going to screen share. Okay. So I have taken all of my, as you can see, Sweet Tea and Saving Grace has 0 FeedBurner subscribers. So I only keep these open for when I do a walkthrough with a client or for things like this. So when you first log into FeedBurner, if you have a Google account, it is through Google. So you just sign into your Gmail and you can go to feedburner.com and it opens up your FeedBurner account. Excuse me. So when you get here, you're going to select your blog, and I'm just going to take the first one. And it opens up a screen like this, and my internet's a tiny bit slow, so bear with me. And over here under feed stats, it says subscribers. So as soon as this decides to finish loading, I'll click on that and show you what it looks like. Okay, so here's your FeedBurner. Feed stats, you're going to click on subscribers. And then you scroll down here to say FeedBurner email subscribers, and that opens the little drop down, manage your email subscriber list. So you just click on that. That opens up all of your emails. So some of you might have 10, some of you might have 10,000. It doesn't matter. But this is going to open your list of subscribers that have previously subscribed to your FeedBurner account to get your RSS campaigns. So you're going to need to export this right here, export to CSV, and it's going to drop down in here into your downloads. Okay. So now that you have your CSV file with all of your subscribers, you need to go to MailChimp. Now I've created a test account in MailChimp to show you what a brand new MailChimp account looks like from scratch. So if you've never done anything inside of MailChimp, this is what your dashboard is going to look like when you first log in. It's going to give you all these little to-dos, create and send a campaign, create a list, start building your audience. So this is a very fresh, brand spanking new MailChimp dashboard. So to add those subscribers from FeedBurner, you need to create a list. So you click the button to create a list. You have no list, so obviously we click Create List again. And you're taken to your list details. Okay. Now this is pretty straightforward. For the sake of this webinar, I'm just going to give it a test name. I do recommend using a somewhat personalized, personal email account. A lot of times people who have an email address that's like Kirsten@sweetteaandsavinggraceblog.com. If it's something other than like Gmail or Yahoo or something like that, sometimes those can get kicked into a subscriber spam folder. So just, you might want to play around a little bit and just see how your numbers are doing after your first few sends, and you might need to shift that email address. For the default from, I do recommend including your name and your blog name because it does make it more personalized. So I wouldn't just put Kirsten Thompson because a lot of people aren't going to know who Kirsten Thompson is. But they do know Kirsten from Sweet Tea and Saving Grace. Okay, they know that I'm the author of that blog. But by putting that name there, by putting my first name there, it just makes it a little more personal, so they see that it's coming from an actual person, and it's just a little nicer to get in their inbox. Remind people how they got on your list. This is what you need to tell people. That's kind of part of a spam filter. So you want to make sure that people understand you're not just dropping their name into your list manually. So you might want to say something like, you are receiving this email because you subscribed to our blog posts on Sweet Tea and Saving Grace. Thank you so much. Something really nice and friendly that lets them know this is how they got on your list. All right, I do want to touch on the contact information. Obviously, for the sake of this email, this is a fake address. I don't want everybody on YouTube knowing where I live, so I changed it for the sake of this webinar. But for every email I send, I do have my real mailing address. And that is one of the terms of use in MailChimp and every other email server. It's part of what's also called CASL, which is Canadian anti-spam laws. And I'm not going to get into the details of it, but I did have somebody ask, and yes, you absolutely do have to include an actual address in your contact information for every email you send. If you're not comfortable putting your physical address, then I highly recommend you get a PO box, but you absolutely have to include that. So when you first start your account with MailChimp, you'll be asked for that information. And then down here, it just asks you how you want to be notified. You can click all of them, none of them. It doesn't really matter. If you want to get notified every time somebody unsubscribes or subscribes or whatever, you can fill those out and you just click Save. And of course, it's not taking my @ Okay. Now we're going to create a list. So here it says view your subscribers. Obviously, we don't have any yet. So we're going to import subscribers. And real quick, I'm just going to pop back in to the Hangout, make sure you guys can see me. Everybody's good. Is this something I can do? Okay. All right. Hopefully you guys are good. I don't see anybody saying they can't see it. All right. So when you get to the import subscribers, just real quick, I want to show you this. You can import subscribers from quite a few different areas. If you have previously collected on Google Drive, you can import straight from there. If you've hosted an event on Eventbrite, you can pull them straight from there. There are other apps. Maybe you used Constant Contact before, and you have those emails. So there's quite a few options here. We're going to click on import from a CSV or text file. That's what we exported from FeedBurner. When you get here, you just select Excuse all my silly pictures of my kid. And we're going to find our file right here. It's the CSV file, and we're going to open it. And yes, we want these email addresses to be imported as subscribed people. So we're going to upload the list. Now, if you have a lot of people on that list, it's going to take a while and it will run in the background, so you can exit out of MailChimp. You can navigate and do other things like start designing your template, things like that, and you'll get notified by MailChimp both up here in your account section and also through email that your import has been completed. Since I only had 8 or 10 people on mine, it didn't take long at all. So the next step you're going to do, you have to match the information that it imported with a column name. So all you're doing is making sure that, yes, this says email address and those are email addresses. That's correct. So we're going to save that. FeedBurner does not pull names, unfortunately, so that might be something you want to ask people to do if you want to introduce them to your new email. You can ask them to also update their preferences and add their first name, and that's good for a lot of reasons that we'll get into in just a little bit. This is when people actually subscribe to your FeedBurner list. If you want to save that, you can. For the purposes of this webinar, I'm going to skip it. But one thing you might want to think about, if you are a business and these are people who subscribe to your business at the very beginning, it might be nice to know when they subscribed, because one of the segment options you can do in MailChimp is by subscribe date, and you can reward the people who have been on your list the longest and stuck around the longest and give them some kind of special discount or some little loyalty reward. So that might be important to you for that, but for this, we're just going to skip it. And this is just their status that says they're active. We're going to skip that. So for this list, it's only going to import the email address, and we're going to complete. Okay. Now here are my subscribers. So this is everybody that pulled from FeedBurner, okay? So the next thing we need to do is create a sign-up form so we can create a segment to drop them into. So just go here to sign-up forms. And we're going to start in general forms. Now, one little quick note, if you're using MailChimp, when you first go to your general forms, this is the URL that you can use in text links, you can use on social media. Anytime you want to tell people, hey, sign up for my newsletter, this is the link you're going to give them if you don't want to drop a form somewhere. So now you know where that is. It's really easy to grab. So this is what your sign up form looks like to start with. It's very boring. The first thing that I do is take the last name out. For blog purposes, people don't really share their last name, and I don't really need it. So I delete that field. And then I just move the first name up to the top. So all of this is really simple. You just drag and drop. And now to start actually customizing this, you want it to look nice. You want it to be, fitting for your brand. So I like to take the word out here and I just use an image, which can be your blog header or whatever. So I already have my logo updated in here, uploaded. So I'm going to select that. But whenever you go here, if there's no files here, you can either import it from a URL. If you have it saved on your WordPress blog or something, you can just drop the URL and it'll pop it right into MailChimp. Or if it's on your computer, you can upload it and it'll drag and drop over here. So I've already got my logo and I'm going to select that. Now, obviously, this is huge. The average width of a sign-up form and a MailChimp newsletter is 600 pixels wide. So I don't blow up email inboxes. I always downsize, shrink my images to 600 pixels wide. And just a note, anytime you add your blog header, you should make it clickable to your actual blog homepage. And it does open in a new window. So you click Save and Insert. So there you go. Your sign-up form has a nice, pretty header. Now, before we move on, I just want to show you the nice thing about MailChimp is when you upload that header image, it already goes ahead and adds it to all of your other forms. So any of these forms in here that you have, if you don't want to update the wording or anything, it's already got your header image and you're good to go. So that's kind of nice. So we're going to go back to sign up form and finish that. All right. Now, since we are building an RSS-driven campaign, chances are some of you are also going to be sending a weekly or a monthly newsletter separate from your RSS-driven campaign. So you're going to have to segment your list. And the way to start doing that, if you want people to be able to choose only one option from the list of options you give them, you can either use a radio button, excuse me, or a drop down. And that allows them to select one of the options listed. If you want them to be able to select more than one, then you're going to use a checkbox. And that's what we're going to use for this. For my own newsletter, for my Sweet Tea and Saving Grace blog, I give people the option to get every post, to get a weekly newsletter, or to get both. And most of the time, people select both. So this is what it looks like when you first add checkboxes. And over here on the side, you can name it, and I'm just going to say it's newsletter frequency. So readers will know that's what I'm looking for. And we want two options. We want every post. We want weekly, or whatever your option is, and then we just save it. And we do want to make it visible. We don't want to hide that. We want our subscribers to be able to see it. So this is now what it looks like. So when a subscriber comes to this sign-up form, they're going to select either or both. And very quickly, right here where it says click to add message, this is just kind of your little instruction sheet for what you want people to do. So you can say something like, welcome to my newsletter. So feel free to receive every post, our special weekly newsletter, or both. You can customize this with different fonts and your color scheme and things like that to make it coordinate with your brand even more. And you just save it. All right, so here's your lovely sign-up form. Okay, now that we have our groups built into our sign-up form, it's time to pop over and segment our list. So we're going to go back up here to manage subscribers, and we're going to view them. Let me pop back over and see if you guys are doing okay over here. So far, so good. All right, we're good. Everybody's seeing everything. All right, so here's our list, and as you can see, it puts a column right here with the group we just created, okay? So newsletter frequency is our column heading, but there's nothing in it yet because we have not created our segments for that. So before you can actually add people to your segments, you have to create the segments. And it's very simple to do. So you go here to segments, new segment. Now, this I recommend that you play around with because you really can segment your list in a lot of ways. See all this different data you can segment by. So here we have our groups that we created. So we're going to select newsletter frequency, and we'll start with every post to create our first segment. And you click preview segment, and it's going to show you a big fat goose egg because we haven't added anybody there yet, but you do want to save this segment. If you're going to be sending newsletters to this segment on a regular basis, you definitely want to save it and give it a name. If you just want to see it for your own statistical reasons, if you just want to see kind of campaign activity or subscriber activity or whatever, but you're not going to use it for a list, you don't need to save it. You can just look at it and exit out of it. So here's our every post segment. So we're going to save that. Okay, and then we're just going to do the exact same thing to create a second segment for our weekly subscribers. So we're going to go new segment, newsletter frequency, and we're going to select weekly this time. Preview, and we're going to save. Make sure that you keep this checked to auto update, because any future subscribers, when they select on their own through your sign up form, it'll automatically drop them into that box. All right, so now you can see we have two segments for our list: segments, every post, and weekly. All right, so now we are going to put, since we just imported all of these subscribers into our list, they don't know what you have to offer in the way of newsletters. So I recommend putting all of your subscribers in both segments initially. And after you've created your lists and your segments, it's nice to send your entire list a welcome email that just says, hey, we've transferred over to a really great email service provider. We're dressing up our newsletters and making them awesome. We just wanted to let you know that things are going to look a little different, and you have a link here to update your preferences, and give them their options in the email and let them know what you have to offer. So that way it's a good chance for you to get their first name on the list if they haven't done that already. And you can get them to go ahead, and if they only want to get every post, or if they only want to get weekly, they can change their own settings to that. So it's a nice way to welcome them in. All right, so obviously we still don't have anybody in our segment. So the way to add people, we're going to click this drop down and select all of our subscribers. And here it says actions, add to group. So here are our groups. We're going to drop everybody first into the every post. And yes, we're sure. Bam. There we go. Everybody is in every post. So now we also want to select them again, and we're going to drop them into weekly as well. There you go. So all of our subscribers are now in both segments of our list. You can see newsletter frequency here, and they're in every post and weekly. So now all of these subscribers you just imported will get both emails unless they update their preferences. And you can give them, you should give them that option somewhere in the footer or the body of every email you send. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is actually design our campaign. But before we do that, I want to pop over here, and I'm going to stop screen sharing for just a second. Hi. And we're going to select our first giveaway winner. Whoop, whoop. One person's going to get a free Inbox of Opportunity ebook. So let me just scroll, kind of roll my dice over here, and bam. Corey Wiles. Yay, you're my first winner. So Corey, will you email me at sweettgrace@gmail.com, and I will email you back either later tonight or first thing in the morning with a copy of an Inbox of Opportunity ebook. Yay, congratulations, Corey Wiles. Awesome. Okay. How are we doing on time? We're good. Okay. You guys are awesome. Little chatterboxes over here. I love it. Okay. I'm going to screen share again. So Corey, go ahead and email me. Congratulations. We'll get to our second winner in just a minute. So I'm going to screen share again. Just sit tight. Entire share. Okay. A little time warp action on the Google thing. Okay. So we've got our list. We're going to create our campaign. So you go right up here to campaigns. You haven't sent any campaigns. Yes, we know. So we're going to create our first campaign. Now here are your options. For this webinar, we are creating an RSS-driven campaign. So we're going to select that one. And MailChimp makes it very easy. You don't need this big long URL for your feed. You don't even have to find it. You just put in the URL of your blog, and it pulls it in for you. Okay, which is really nice. Now I want to touch on this a little bit. If you want MailChimp to send a newsletter, or excuse me, an RSS email to your subscribers every single time you post, even if you only post on specific days, I recommend keeping all 7 days checked down here at the bottom, because sometimes things come up. Sometimes our schedule gets thrown off for whatever reason. We have a sponsored post that has to be posted on a day that's not our normal posting schedule, or something comes up in the family and we post a little bit late. Whatever the case may be, it just makes more sense. If you want it to go every single time you post, select every single day. It will only send when there's a new post. So if you post on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it will only send on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's not going to send the same email over and over. As far as the day, like I said, if you want it to send every day, click that. The time, if this is dependent on your posting time on your blog. So if you're scheduling your posts for 8 a.m., then you want to make sure that your RSS feed goes out after 8 a.m. And I would give it at least an hour, maybe 2. For my own blog, I schedule all of my posts to go live at midnight. And then my RSS feed goes out at noon. So it's a 12-hour window. It doesn't make a huge difference to me, but so far it's worked. But it's nice because I'm not up at midnight when my post goes live. So when I do get up in the morning, if there's anything I need to add to it or change, or if something just kind of went a little crazy behind the scenes, I can fix that, and I'll have plenty of time to do that before my RSS email hits inboxes. So it just gives me a little bit of time. So whatever day you want it. If you only want to send a weekly email, but you still want it to pull your RSS feed, you can select that as well, every week or every month, and then select which day of the week you want it to go out on. So if you select Friday, it will pull every email, or excuse me, every blog post you've sent that week, and it'll put it all into one big juicy email and send it to your RSS subscribers. Okay, next. Now here's where our segmentation comes in. So just a minute ago, we segmented our list based on every post, which is our RSS feed, and our weekly. So this is where you're going to select that segment. You're going to send it to the saved post, and here you can see our segments. So we're going to select our every post segment and go to the next screen. All right, your campaign information is pretty straightforward. You can just name it. Now, the name of your campaign is not what your subscribers will see. So for your own purposes, you can name it blog posts or RSS, whatever you want to name it. It doesn't matter. These things that you see here that are kind of funky looking, those are merge tags. They're RSS merge tags. So right now, the way that this is going to read when it comes to a subscriber's inbox, it's going to say post from Sweet Tea and Saving Grace for June 23rd, 2015. That's fine with me. You can put whatever you want there. Just keep in mind that this email subject needs to be somewhat generic, because you're not going to change it once you set your RSS campaign and start it. So you don't want to put how to build a coffee table, and then that'll be the subject for every blog post email it sends out from here on out. That doesn't make sense. So keep it fairly generic. I think mine says freshly squeezed from Sweet Tea and Saving Grace. So just something kind of generic. You can make it a little fun, a little more personal than that, but whatever. Personalize the to field. This is where the first name comes in. And I really like having the first name of my subscribers, because I can drop this merge tag into the to field. So anytime you get an email from me, it says to Stephanie, to Kirsten, whoever they are, it says to whatever their first name is. And I can also use this merge tag within the body of my email to further personalize it, so I can talk specifically to them. So that's a nice thing. As far as tracking, I do like to track my opens and my clicks, and you can see that in the report section of MailChimp. MailChimp allows you to connect your Google Analytics, which is a nice thing to do. I do have that connected on my real MailChimp account, but for the test version, I didn't set that up. But you do that in the integration section of your MailChimp account, so you can click that. And you can choose to have this auto-tweeted and auto-posted to Facebook when it goes out to your subscribers. So that's totally up to you. So once you fill out all of your campaign information, you click Next and you select your template. Now, realistically, you can select any template you want for your RSS feed and just drop the merge tags in. But for simplicity's sake, there are two that include RSS, one that's got a sidebar and one that does not. You can see the basic here and the right sidebar. I'm going to use the basic. So you select the template you want and it takes you to the design tools. And this is the fun part. Excuse me. Okay. Now this is a little crazy looking, obviously. And if you've never seen any of these merge tags before, it's a little scary. So the first thing that you always do is upload your header. So we're going to go ahead and do that just to make it look a little more friendly. So we're going to select that and it drops it in. Now any of these design tools, see it says that it's really huge, so we're going to fix it. Any of these design tools, most of them can be customized to all different things. So for your header image, for any image you put in, you can choose to center it, left or right align. So you go to your settings and you can change. And I always, for my header, I always center it and I do edge to edge for the margins. And you can see the difference. There's not edge to edge and there's edge to edge. It just kind of fills the space. So I always like to do that for my header image especially. You can add dividers if you'd like. You just drag and drop all these tools over here. You can change the padding so that there's less space on the top and bottom. You can change the colors. All this is customizable. You can make it solid or dotted or whatever. So there's a lot of customization options even within the RSS. I do want to touch on one question that we had in Facebook. Lauren Lanker is not available for this webinar, but she did ask how you can make it not look automated. This is how you do that. You add your header, you add your pretty little face on either the sidebar or the footer and let people know a little bit about you. You customize it with your colors and everything that match your branding. So that's how you make it not look like a robot is sending these emails. You want to make sure this little area up here that says use this area to offer a short preview. MailChimp will notify you if you don't change that. And you can just put, like I said, mine says fresh post or freshly squeezed, whatever. From Sweet Tea and Saving Grace. Just save that. When you do a regular newsletter, make sure that you change this to something that is relevant to the content in your newsletter. Don't leave it the same every time because it is a nice little preview and sometimes that might be all people see and that will let them know if they want to open it or not. So make sure that when you send a non-RSS email, you actually make that a little nicer wording and tell them what they're getting in their email. Okay, so this looks very confusing. Like I said, all of these RSS tags, if you're not sure what they look like. So my suggestion, if you've never used RSS merge tags before, the best way to see what this looks like is to do a quick preview. So you just enter the preview mode and it will populate all of those RSS tags and you'll be able to see exactly what that looks like. So this is a great way to determine what you want to keep and what you want to take out. This isn't exactly how I want it to look. It's kind of funky looking. It's got a lot of the information that I want to send, but it's not laid out in a very pretty way. So I want to shift this around a little bit. Okay, but this at least gives me an idea of what all those merge tags are doing. So I can see updates from, and there's my blog name, and here's the date and the title of my post. There's the title again, which is a little redundant, and my name and the date. And then I have an image. It pulls the image from my blog and a little blurb that's the first few sentences of my blog post. And it has the read in browser link. They can tweet it. They can like it on Facebook. And here are several other recent articles on my post. And then here's all the footer information. Okay. And down here, you can see your mailing address is there. So you just X out of the preview and you can start designing. Now, another thing that I want to point out is MailChimp automatically populates these and you have an RSS header section and a body section. I don't use two. I use one and pull everything in it that I need. So I always delete one of these and that's totally up to you. But just, I want to show you, I'm going to pop over and give you a side-by-side comparison to show you what merge tags I currently use and what my newsletter looks like so you can really get an idea for what all of these mean. Okay, so this is my actual RSS-driven campaign, the way it is today. So as you can see over here, there's a couple things you need to be aware of. You'll see RSS items at the top and RSS items at the bottom, and I'm going to explain those in a minute. But just so you can see what all this is the merge tag section on the left and the actual on the right. Okay, so first you see these two at the top and the bottom. Think about these in the form of you're writing an essay, okay? And you have your introduction paragraph and you have your conclusion paragraph, and everything else is the body. So the introduction paragraph is your RSS items and the conclusion is your end RSS items. So these don't actually populate anything into this newsletter on the right, but you have to have one at the top and one at the end, and all of your information that you pull in from your blog goes into the body of your newsletter. So things like your title, your author, your date, your image, your content, your Twitter, and your Facebook. So anything that has this RSS item in it has to go between the beginning and the end RSS item tags. Here you can see the RSS item title by author on date, and this is what it looks like over here. It has the title of my blog post, which is clickable to my actual blog post, and it has my name and the date of the post, okay? The image obviously pulls the image. The content, it pulls the snippet, which I have mine truncated. And continue reading is linked, so it takes you to the blog post. And then I have the RSS item for Twitter and Facebook, so people can tweet it or like it directly from my RSS-driven campaign. And finally, check out what else you might have missed. I have RSS recent for. Now, obviously, there's not an RSS item here, so this does not have to be in this body of the RSS items. So I have the 4 most recent blog posts down here, right before the footer of my email. And then I just added a little sentence that says, want the weekly newsletter packed full of goodness? In addition to these bite-sized pieces, update your preferences here. So I have an easy way for people who get my RSS-driven campaign to update their preferences and also get the weekly. So that's a nice thing to have. So I'm going to actually, if you have signed up for my email list that I linked to at the very beginning, and I'll share it again in just a few minutes, I'll send out a copy of my merge tags, and you can copy and paste that if you want to into your own. So for this one, like I said, I always just delete one of these, and then you can preview what you're left with. So it still tells me a good bit of information. I can still see my title and everything, and my picture and all of that. So that's really all I care about. I might want to go back in and change the recent articles to just 4. I don't know that I really care about 5. You can do 3, you can do 2, you can do 15. It doesn't matter. Whatever number you put in that merge tag, it's going to pull a text link to. One thing about the images I do want to say, there is every now and then when you're building this, it may not populate the image. And I've had a few clients that have had issues with that. There's a very simple plugin that I'll share with you when I come back. When I stop screen sharing, I'll share that plugin, but it's an RSS image plugin. It's free. If you're on WordPress, you just pop it in and you tell it to pull the first image in your post. And you probably will have to sign out and back into MailChimp to see it actually take effect, but it'll start pulling that first image in for you. So we're going to exit out of preview, and you can just go in here. And the cool thing about this, as you can see, since we haven't changed anything, it still says full content. You can change it to custom, and that gives you all of this. All of these merge tags on the left are now over here to the right, and you can edit them. So you can change this title to a different color to match your blog. It's sad that I know my hex codes by heart. You can make it bold. You can center all of this. You can add spaces, take out spaces. You can changed the different colors of everything. So we're going to save that, and I'll preview it one more time before we move on so you can see what that did. So there you go. Centered it. It made this pink just like my blog. So it's all nice and centered and pretty and much, much, much better. Now, one other thing that I do recommend that you add, I always like to duplicate my divider and drag one down here right above the footer. And I add an about section to my RSS-driven campaign. And I usually do this with an image and caption design tool. So you just drag it over. And I'm going to change and put my caption on the left. And I've already designed my about picture because this is the one that I actually use for all of my emails. So you can see here, hey y'all, I'm Kirsten, sweet tea drinker, crafter, and sweet Southern girl behind Sweet Tea and Saving Grace. So this is my little about, and I also link it to my my about page on my blog, which I'm not going to do that right now, but so that way people can just click on my picture in the footer of all of my emails and go directly to my about page. And then I just go to the content section and type something fabulous about myself. I can change the font and colors and all that good stuff again. So there you go. So this is a basic RSS template. You change the top part to something somewhat generic so that it's the same for every email. You add your blog header. You can customize it with different colorful dividers. And you can also create dividers in PicMonkey or Canva or whatever and just make it a transparent image and put that in there as an image with the image tool and have customized dividers. I have polka dots on some of mine that I made in PicMonkey. You can customize all of these RSS tags, change the font colors, the layout, all that good stuff. And then you add a pretty little picture of yourself down here with a little blurb about you. You can also drag in HTML code and pop in your social media links if you like, or you can use the social media links provided by Facebook. They're not going to be customized with your color scheme, so you might want to use HTML instead so that it all coordinates really nicely. And then, of course, keep your footer in place. You do have to have that. If you start sending out emails without your footer and the mailing address and all that good stuff, MailChimp will flag you and you'll get in trouble. So once you're finished, you're going to select Next. And this is what you'll see. Every time you complete a campaign design in MailChimp, it's going to take you to a page similar to this. It's basically your checklist. See all the little checks? And if everything is good to go on your end, then everything will be checked. Social cards you can use if you want to. That's if you're going to be auto tweeting or auto sharing on Facebook. These set the images that will be seen when it auto tweets and auto posts to Facebook. So you can use those if you want. You don't have to. And when you're finished, you just select Start RSS, which I'm not going to do because those people on my list have not heard from me in ages. But you start your RSS, MailChimp will give you a high five and it'll be done. I'm going to flip over to my live account. So just so you can see what it looks like. So once you send your campaigns, you're going to have a list of them here. And I have a bunch of stuff scheduled, but here's my freshly squeezed from Sweet Tea and Saving Grace. And anytime you want to make changes to this, you're going to pause it. And it's thinking. And you can go in and make any changes you want to the design, to the template, to the recipients, to the time you actually schedule it to send. Anything you need to change, you just pause this, you make your changes. So here's what mine looks like now. There's my about section. And as you can see, I have this is all HTML. That's what that looks like. And my dividers are just images that I created. So this is my actual live thing. Okay, so we're going to save that. So anytime you make changes, you just do that, and then you just restart your campaign. And I'll show you what MailChimp says. Start RSS. Yes, I actually do want to start it. And MailChimp says, yes, rock on, you're awesome. Okay, one quick thing too before we get done with this. Once you actually finish building your custom RSS campaign, it's designed, it's ready to go, and you've clicked that start button and MailChimp gives you this awesome rock on symbol, go back to FeedBurner, navigate back to your list, and go all the way to the bottom and click this deactivate button. If you do not deactivate your FeedBurner account, those subscribers will get 2 emails every time you post. They'll get an ugly one from FeedBurner and a pretty one from MailChimp. And even though one of them is pretty, they're probably going to unsubscribe because they're getting 2 emails from you every day and they don't like you anymore. I'm just kidding, but definitely deactivate it. All right. Hi. So it's time for giveaway number 2. I'm going to just do that real quick, and then we'll do some Q&A and fun stuff. So spin my roulette wheel of Q&A. Wah, wah, wah. Joni Beckman, I hope I said your name right. You are the winner of number 2. You get an Inbox of Opportunity ebook. So email me at sweetteagrace@gmail.com, and I will shoot you back tonight or in the morning with your book. So yay, Corey Wiles and Joni Beckman are the winners. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Awesome, awesome. All right, so I know that this is a lot to take in. It still might be a little bit confusing even after you've seen it. This is recorded, so you'll be able to go back in a couple days when I post the link and watch it and pause it and take notes and do all that fun stuff. So just, take it all in. But if you have questions that are outside of the realm of RSS-driven campaigns, I do want to invite you to check out my ebook. It's 160 pages. It's a full color ebook. I've got it packed full of screenshots, examples from my clients' newsletters that I've designed, including my own. I've got all kinds of different tips and tricks for really customizing every aspect of every newsletter you send. We talk about opt-in offers. I cover all the legal information. We design all kinds of campaigns. So there's a lot of information in there. I do touch on automation and things like that too. So it's a very extensive ebook. So I'm going to give you guys a link really quick to that if you want to check it out. I have permanently reduced the price of it actually too. It's $50 now, which is a steal in my mind. So check that out. And if you have any questions before you buy, feel free to ask. But you can order through Gumroad. Gumroad now accepts PayPal, which is awesome. So that makes it really easy. Another thing I wanted to share too is I've just recently started offering one-on-one hourly consultations. If you've already got your MailChimp account set up, or you kind of have an idea of what you want your newsletter to look like, but you don't really know how to implement it, or maybe you have some marketing goals that you just need to discuss, that might be an option for you. In that hourly consultation, we brainstorm and chat over Skype, and we discuss and we set your goals for your email marketing campaigns. And then we talk about your opt-in offer and give you some ideas for how to create one that will gather email addresses and help you really grow your email list. After the one-on-one is over, you'll receive an email from me that outlines everything we talked about, and you'll get a step-by-step guide that's actionable steps for you to implement everything we discussed. So that's another option for you. My one-on-one sessions are typically $75, and I'm actually giving you guys a deal. So anybody who purchases the ebook between now and Sunday, June 30th, I think, 28th. Yeah, June 28th. Anyone who orders the ebook between now and June 28th can email me their confirmation receipt for purchase, and you can add on a 1-hour consultation for only $35. So they go hand in hand. It's really great. You can have the one-on-one with me first, and then as you go through and implement all those actionable steps that we talk about in your one-on-one conference, you can use the ebook kind of as a guide to how to do the technical things. So that's something to consider. And you can do all of that through that page that I just shared. So feel free to do that. And again, if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask. And let's see. One thing, we're going to do a Q&A. Let me go through some of these questions really quick and see. Thank you, Roxanne. Do I have a tip jar? No, but you can totally PayPal me money. I'll take it. Will FeedBurner continue to send an RSS email to the list you just imported? Yes, like I said, if you do not, Angela Russo, great question. I mentioned before, if you do not go back in and deactivate that FeedBurner account, they will continue to get 2 emails. So just make sure when you finished reading, or when you finished creating your RSS-driven campaign, you do go back in. If you're going to be tweaking your RSS campaign and it might take you a few days to actually get it done, or a week or 2 to get it done, that's totally okay. Just leave your FeedBurner going in the meantime. Just remember to pop back in and deactivate it before you actually start your MailChimp campaign so you don't spam people. Abby, I've read the ebook and it's fantastic. Thank you, dear. Let's see. Angela, I got you, so you're good. Done. Roxanne, thank you for helping people navigate through the Hangout. Let's see. Is there a way to have a few random older posts added to an RSS campaign as well? Unfortunately, no, it won't pull your archived content for you, but that's a great way to start an automated series with MailChimp. MailChimp allows you to do automation. Abby does a great job with this. You can set up an automation workflow, and I can do a totally different webinar for that if you'd like. But you can set an automation workflow and have a welcome series. So when people subscribe to your email, they automatically get an email from you that welcomes them to the blog and shows them a little tour of the blog and who you are and what you stand for. And then maybe once a week, you send them a categorized newsletter with some of your archived content. And I actually just did a podcast yesterday and was talking about this very thing. And your old content is new to new readers. So make sure you do find creative ways to use that archived content because you worked hard to create it. So it's a good idea to actually get it in front of people. Let's see. I'm so glad you showed us how to segment lists. Good job, Joni. You're welcome. I said your name right. Good. Okay. If you're just starting out, do you recommend beginning email collection directly through MailChimp? Yes, I do. I've been using MailChimp for over 3 years, and that's what I initially started collecting email addresses on. MailChimp is free for up to 2,000 subscribers or 10,000 emails. So if you're doing a weekly newsletter, then that's for 2,000 subscribers, that's about 8,000 emails a month. So you're going to continue to use that for free. I actually upgraded to a paid MailChimp account before my subscriber limit because there's a lot of features that are paid that are just really good, like automation. Okay, let's see. Okay, y'all are voting for the automation series. So yeah, okay, we can totally put that on the list. Y'all are funny. Let's see. Are you using a WordPress plugin to populate an image for your post? Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because I am, and I meant to share that link. Let's see. Where is my little plugin? RSS image feed. Here you go. There you go. It's showing right now. It should be. So that is the plugin that I use. So if it's not, try it first without the plugin and it may pull your image for you. But that's a great plugin to use if it's not pulling, and it's free. It's really simple to set up. You just tell it what image to pull by putting number 1, number 2, number 3, whatever. So put number 1, that's usually probably your most pinnable image. So it's going to be your best image for your post. It's the first image in your post. So pop that plugin into WordPress and it'll sync up with MailChimp. You'll be good to go. Let's see. Does RSS send automatically if you are in the free account? Yes, Ruthie, it does. Absolutely. You can send RSS for free up to either 2,000 subscribers or 10,000 emails a month. So yes, RSS is included in that count. What else do we have here? Got that one from Darla done. How to stop RSS feed from sending a separate email along with my MailChimp. I don't want my Andrea, let's see. Andrea, are you using FeedBurner or are you using something else to send your RSS right now? I had somebody email me just before the Hangout started and said they're using Jetpack and they just want to use MailChimp. I don't use Jetpack, so I'm not familiar with it, but I am going to find out how to stop it through Jetpack and export those subscribers so you can import them into MailChimp. So if you're watching, whoever emailed me that, I did read it. I just didn't have time to look it up beforehand, but I'll get back to you on that one. So Andrea, let me know, you said you want to stop your RSS feed. And if you're using FeedBurner, I just showed you how to do that. But if you're using something else, just let me know and I'll try to find out for you. Love the author bio part. Lillian, yes, I'm worried about so many images in the newsletter. Wouldn't Gmail or other email providers throw it into spam? Lillian, that's a great question. No, actually. That's one of the reasons that I use MailChimp. They have phenomenal spam filters. You're not going to get flagged for spam just because you put images in your newsletter. Now, obviously, if you have 40 images, then yes, that's a problem. But I create templates for several of my clients and send their campaigns out for them on a weekly basis. And there's tons of pictures and tons of links in there, both of which, if you just send a standard email and you include a bunch of pictures and a bunch of links, it's going to go to spam. But MailChimp has really strong spam filters and they make sure that most of your emails are going to land in inboxes. So that's not going to be a problem. So you're good there. Put all kinds of pretty pictures in it. It's pretty. If I have people signed up for my email list, can I add them to my RSS? That's kind of touchy. Ruthie asked this question. I typically just send new posts with my MailChimp account already. Well, if you're already sending them the new post, then yeah, they should be okay getting your RSS. And it'll just automate that for you, something that you're already doing. The only reason I hesitated initially is if you're sending just a weekly and you just drop all these people into your RSS, they might think you're spamming them. So I would do, like I mentioned during the Hangout, do a welcome email and just say, hey, you're making some changes, and give them the option. So go ahead and create the segment, but I wouldn't manually add people to it just yet, but you can give them the option to update their preferences within the body of the email and let them add themselves. So that's a nice, polite way to do it. Let's see, Amanda, when you send the weekly email, do you send it at the end of the week on Friday? I've been told a lot of people don't read emails on Friday because they're ready for the weekend. Any thoughts on that? It's kind of up to you. It's a trial and error. Mine goes out on Sunday mornings. My weekly does. I have one client who sends hers at noon on Thursdays. I have another client that sends her weekly on around 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday. It just kind of depends. So my suggestion for you would be to try it. And anything that you try, you should try it for at least 30 to 60 days. So you have to practice patience and it's really hard. But you could set it up for Friday. And I know in our brains, if you're kind of OCD like I am, Friday is the end of the week and you definitely want to make sure that it's a Monday through Friday email and it includes all of that. But it doesn't have to. Your readers don't really care what started the week and what ended the week. So you can send it anytime. But test it out. Set it for a specific day. Send it out for 1 or 2 months. And then check your analytics. And then shift it to a different day and a different time. And then check your analytics. So that's why there's reports built into MailChimp. So you can check all that stuff out and see what's working. Evie, do I need a paid account to do all of that? No, everything I did tonight, you can do on a free account. Absolutely. Any other questions? Let's see. Ruthie, yes, it's going to be recorded. You're good if you couldn't make the whole thing. All right, I think, Did I miss anybody? I think I got everything. So let me see. Let me go back to the top. Make sure I got everything. All right. So for those of you still here, make sure you have commented because I have the grand prize to give away. So I'm going to pick one person, and you're going to receive both the Inbox of Opportunity ebook and a 1-hour consultation with me because I'm nice. So I'm going to pick one person, and it's funny because a few people just clicked out and they're going to miss it. Oh no, they're going to miss it. All right, I'm going to scroll my roulette wheel of Q&A, and it's going to be Kelly from Quilting It Out. Whoop, whoop. You have won an Inbox of Opportunity ebook, Kelly. Hopefully you're still here, and a 1-hour consultation with me. So email me, sweettgrace@gmail.com, and we'll hook you up. So I'm excited. And if you guys don't have any other questions for me, then we are done. We went a little bit over, and I apologize, but I will get this all squared away and get it set up in YouTube, and I'll share the link in the Facebook page so you guys can watch the recording, and people who couldn't make it could watch the recording. So thank you so much, Abby, for setting all this up so that I was able to do it, and I hope you guys learned a lot. If you have any questions for me, I'll be in the Facebook group, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Have a good night.